A lot of people in the crypto space are feeling confident right now. Prices move up, communities get louder, and social media is filled with predictions, timelines, and promises about what's coming next. But as January 1st approaches, there is something every XRP holder and every crypto investor needs to understand clearly. Not out of fear, not out of hype, but out of responsibility. This is not financial advice. This is not a prediction of price. And this is not a call to buy or sell anything. This is simply an educational discussion based on market behavior, regulatory trends, and patterns that have repeated themselves many times before in crypto history. January 1st doesn't magically change the market overnight. What it represents is a transition point, a reset in reporting periods, regulatory focus, tax calendars, institutional strategies, and market psychology. And historically, moments like this are when uninformed investors tend to make emotional decisions, while prepared investors slow down and pay attention. For XRP holders specifically, there is often a belief that one event, one date, or one announcement will suddenly change everything. That belief has caused many people to ignore risk management, ignore market structure, and ignore the fact that crypto does not move on hope alone. It moves on liquidity, regulation, adoption, and macroeconomic conditions. One of the biggest misunderstandings in crypto is the idea that holding a token automatically guarantees future success. XRP, like every digital asset, exists within a financial system that is constantly evolving. Regulations change, court cases conclude, institutions adapt, technology improves, and none of these things move in straight lines. As January begins, regulatory clarity becomes more important, not less. In the United States, agencies focus heavily on compliance, reporting, and enforcement at the start of a new year. This does not mean bans are coming. It does not mean approvals are guaranteed. It simply means attention increases, and attention always brings volatility. Many retail investors underestimate how much market movement is driven by institutions adjusting positions for accounting, risk exposure, and strategy resets. These moves often have nothing to do with fundamentals and everything to do with portfolio balance. When large players move, prices react, sometimes sharply. XRP holders should understand that price movement does not equal validation, and price stagnation does not equal failure. Markets often move sideways while infrastructure builds quietly in the background. This is especially true for assets that aim to integrate with legacy financial systems rather than replace them overnight. Another important factor is narrative fatigue. Crypto markets thrive on stories, but when the same story is repeated year after year without clear understanding, people stop asking critical questions. January is when many investors finally review what they actually hold and why they hold it. This is where discipline matters. Understanding what XRP is designed for, what it is not designed for, and how adoption realistically happens helps remove emotional decision-making. XRP is not a meme asset. It is not built around social hype cycles. It is designed for specific use cases involving liquidity and cross-border settlement. That does not make it immune to speculation. It does not make it immune to market downturns. And it certainly does not make it immune to broader economic pressure. Every crypto asset is affected by interest rates, dollar strength, global risk sentiment, and investor confidence. As the calendar resets, many people will hear bold claims, guaranteed timelines, insider knowledge, exact dates. These claims appear every year, and every year they disappoint those who believe them without question. Responsible investors learn to separate enthusiasm from evidence. One of the most overlooked risks in crypto is overexposure. Holding too much of a single asset, no matter how strong the belief, creates vulnerability. Diversification is not a lack of confidence. It is a risk management tool used by every professional investor in every market. Another risk is information overload. Social media rewards extreme opinions, not accurate ones. Calm, balanced analysis rarely goes viral. As January approaches, engagement-driven content increases, and with it, misinformation. Being selective about sources is more important than ever. There is also the psychological effect of New Year expectations. People expect change because the calendar changes. When that change does not happen immediately, frustration leads to impulsive decisions. Historically, some of the worst crypto sell-offs have happened when expectations collided with reality. For XRP holders, it is important to understand that adoption by financial institutions happens slowly, through testing, compliance, and gradual scaling. This process does not align with retail timelines or social media countdowns. Expecting instant global usage misunderstands how traditional finance operates. Security is another critical issue as the year turns. Scams increase during periods of heightened attention. Fake announcements, impersonation impersonation accounts, and phishing attacks target holders who are emotionally invested. Protecting private keys, avoiding suspicious links, and using reputable platforms is essential. Tax considerations also play a role. January marks a new reporting period, and many investors review gains, losses, and obligations. Ignoring this aspect can lead to unnecessary stress later. Being informed does not mean acting immediately, but it does mean being prepared. Market cycles do not end because of belief, and they do not begin because of hope. They turn when conditions align. Liquidity, regulation, and confidence must move together. XRP's long-term narrative depends on these factors, not on social media trends. It's also important to acknowledge uncertainty honestly. No one knows exactly how the market will behave. Anyone claiming certainty is not being truthful. What investors can control is education, risk exposure, emotional discipline, and time horizon. Long-term thinking does not mean blind holding. It means periodic reassessment, asking whether the reasons for holding still make sense, asking whether personal financial situations have changed, asking whether expectations are realistic. January is not a deadline. It is a checkpoint, a moment to pause, not panic, to observe, not react, to understand, not assume. Crypto markets reward patience, but they punish ignorance. They reward preparation, but they punish emotional attachment. XRP is no exception. For those who believe in the technology, the focus should be on progress, not promises. For those who are unsure, the focus should be on learning, not following crowds. The most dangerous phrase in crypto has always been, "This time is different," without evidence. History doesn't repeat exactly, but it often rhymes. Being aware of that protects investors from repeating the same mistakes. As January begins, nothing needs to be rushed. No action needs to be forced. The smartest move for many is simply to stay informed, stay secure, and stay realistic. This space will continue to evolve. Regulations will continue to develop, technology will continue to improve, and markets will continue to fluctuate. The warning is not about fear, it's about awareness. Awareness that crypto is still a developing market. Awareness that no asset is guaranteed. Awareness that preparation matters more than predictions. For XRP holders and all crypto investors, the start of the year is an opportunity to approach the market with clarity instead of emotion, with knowledge instead of noise, and with strategy instead of speculation. And that mindset, not a date, not a rumor, not a prediction, is what truly determines long-term outcomes. Another thing many investors overlook is how quickly sentiment can shift when expectations are not met. The crypto market is extremely sensitive to disappointment. When people emotionally attach timelines to their investments, they often react strongly when reality moves slower. This reaction is usually not logical, and it often benefits those who stay patient while others panic. It's also important to understand that large holders, institutions, and market makers operate on completely different time horizons. What feels like a long wait to a retail investor may be a normal accumulation or positioning phase for a professional entity. These players do not announce their moves in advance, and they rarely act based on online sentiment. XRP holders should also be cautious about interpreting every piece of news as bullish or bearish.